Good afternoon. Welcome to Business 360, your complete view of the stories driving business, markets, and the economy. I'm Apa Ongpin, and this is the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Governor Eli Remolona joins us today to discuss inflation, rates, and the financial crises that have tested the BSP throughout the decades. Diesel is projected to soar by as much as 10 pesos per liter next week, and gasoline by as much as 5 pesos. First on Bilyonaryo, JPMorgan says Prime Infrastructure and Meralco are the local companies most likely to challenge Indonesian billionaire Prajogo Pangestu's bid for First Gen's Energy Development Corporation. BPI reports flat earnings in the first half. And President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. seeks investments in artificial intelligence during his working visit to Singapore. From one crisis to the next, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has had to write and rewrite its playbook through debt, currency shocks, financial collapses, a pandemic, and now the Middle Eastern conflict. Now it faces a new test against the backdrop of that Middle East crisis. We welcome BSP Governor Eli Remolona.
Good afternoon, Apa.
Good afternoon to you, Governor. And congratulations, the Institute of International Finance ranked the Philippines first among 57 countries for investor relations and debt transparency. What does that recognition mean for the country?
Well, the Institute for International Finance was nice enough to recognize our efforts for transparency and accountability, especially when it comes to sovereign debt and our capacity to repay that debt. So I think we feel good that they recognize those efforts.
Okay, so it's good. It's like a credit rating, like a very positive credit rating.
Absolutely, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
Inflation eased to 6.4% in June. Core is still climbing, though. Do you see inflation back to the previous 2 to 4% target within 2027?
We actually see the inflation rate to be back within our tolerance range within 2 years, Apa.
2 years, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because the impact of this Middle Eastern crisis and high fuel prices is very hard to combat, no?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, growth came in at 2.8% last quarter. How much growth are we willing to sacrifice to get inflation under control? I mean, it's, that's the secret sauce, isn't it? Is that balance?
Yes, yes. We do take account of growth when we figure out monetary policy. But in the end, Apa, there's no conflict between the two. Sustained growth depends on low inflation, Apa.
That's true, yeah. Core inflation is at its highest since late 2023. Metro Manila has also approved a record wage hike. How worried are you about second round effects? We're worried.
It was a record hike. We thought it would be 6%, but it turned out to be 12%. So we're still crunching the numbers on the possible inflationary effects of that. And we're still trying to figure out what will happen in the regions in terms of their own wage hikes.
Yeah, was this politically motivated, or did the wage boards really do the numbers?
I don't know, Apa. I wasn't there.
Ah, okay. So you spent decades at the New York Fed and the Bank for International Settlements. Every central bank is now dealing with the oil shock.
Yes, yes.
Which central banks are handling this better than others?
Well, Apa, as you know, we're one of the hardest hit.
Yes.
When it comes to the oil price shock. In addition, many of our neighbors, they were also hit, but they also tended to have the advantage of a buoyant tech sector. Mm-hmm. So we don't. So it's harder for us, but we're all trying. We're all trying.
Yeah. Okay. BSP's new book, which you launched recently, it opens with the 1983 debt crisis when a moratorium was actually declared because we didn't have the money to pay even the interest.
That's right. That's right.
What's the biggest lesson from that era that the BSP learned?
The big lesson from the book as a whole, APA, is that each crisis is different.
Mhm.
But in the end, they're all the same. They all start with some optimism, and that optimism turns to fear,
Yeah.
and that's when the crisis starts.
Okay. And so it's to some extent a matter of attitude. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The book revisits the 1997 Asian crisis. The Philippines took a regional shock, but we made our own choices. And
Yes.
did that crisis teach us a few things about the limits of monetary policy?
I think it taught us more about the limits of our banking system, APA.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1997 crisis, we were considered part of the East Asian miracle, if you remember,
Yeah.
APA.
Yeah.
So it taught us that we need a spare tire. Greenspan himself told us that we were too dependent on a banking system.
Mm-hmm.
We needed capital markets as a spare tire. And so that's one of my goals for the Philippines, is to develop that spare tire.
Okay. After 1997, the Asian region built bigger buffers. The Philippines built stronger banks and deeper financial regulation. What's the next layer of resilience we still need to build? Is that what you're referring to by strong capital markets?
We do need the buffers that we built so far in terms of stronger banks and stronger financial regulation. But I think besides capital markets, we need stronger exports, APA, and we need higher savings.
Yeah, well, savings is that's a challenge, to try to get people to save.
Yes.
Especially when inflation is this high. No?
Yes, but it helps to have more access, for people to have more access to the financial system so that they can save and their savings can earn.
Yeah, well, by digital payments platforms, we're increasing financial inclusion, right?
That's right, Apa.
Yeah, but at this point, even the most favorable savings rates are way behind inflation. So, it's not exactly a big incentive.
We have to fix that. We have to bring inflation down, and then the rewards will be bigger.
Yeah. Is the Philippines more resilient today, or are we simply better prepared for the last crisis? Is there a shock that we're not ready for?
Well, in general, we should be more resilient. The banks have bigger buffers in terms of capital, in terms of liquidity. Our regulations are also more forward-looking, and our regulations now are more focused on systemic risk rather than the stability of individual banks. So I think we are better prepared.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Governor, and thank you for
Apa.
your service.
It's a pleasure, Apa.
We're taking a quick break. Coming up, earnings season kicks off with BPI starting off with flat net income for the first half. And JPMorgan sees two local contenders possibly challenging Indonesian billionaire Prajogo Pangestu's bid for Energy Development Corporation. You're watching Business 360. Welcome back to Business 360. I'm Apa Ongpin. Indonesian billionaire Prajogo Pangestu's bid for Energy Development Corporation may have opened the door to a competing offer. JPMorgan has identified two potential contenders right here in our backyard. Jillian Geronimo has today's Business Roundup.
Indonesian billionaire Prajogo Pangestu's offer to buy First Gen's Energy Development Corporation could face competition from other Philippine energy players. JPMorgan said Prime Infrastructure and Meralco are possible contenders, while Aboitiz Power and San Miguel Global Power may stay out due to market share limits. Barito Renewables Energy's unsolicited offer values EDC at $5 billion in equity or $7 billion including debt. The proposed acquisition could become one of the biggest valuations for a Philippine power company. Pangestu's interest in EDC is driven by its large renewable energy portfolio, according to JPMorgan. It is one of the country's biggest renewable energy companies, with 1,544 megawatts of attributable renewable capacity. This means the acquisition would give Pangestu control of a major geothermal platform as foreign interest in Philippine renewables grows. If the deal pushes through, Barito would become the second major Indonesian renewable energy player to enter the Philippine market. JPMorgan expects foreign interest to stay strong, citing the Philippines' Green Energy Auction Program. BPI reported a flat first-half net income of 32.8 billion pesos due to higher loan loss provisions. The bank set aside 13.3 billion pesos in provisions, 84% more than a year earlier, as expected credit losses rose. BPI attributed this to what it called a deteriorating macroeconomic outlook. Despite the higher provisions, total revenues grew 12.4% to 104 billion pesos, while the loan portfolio also expanded 12.4% to 2.7 trillion pesos. The bank said asset quality remained stable, with its non-performing loan ratio unchanged quarter on quarter. BPI also increased its cash dividend by 24% year-on-year to 2 pesos and 58 centavos per share in June. Globe Telecom secured a 10 billion peso loan from Land Bank of the Philippines to partially support its capital expenses and other corporate needs. The company said the funding will help finance network improvements and debt refinancing. Globe's first quarter capital spending rose 51% year-on-year to 12.7 billion pesos. About 91% of its spending went to data-related projects to expand digital capacity. Still, the company maintained its 2026 cash capex guidance of below $1 billion. SM Prime Holdings opened its first hotel in China, marking a new move into the country's growing tourism market. The around 4 billion peso Voco Xiamen SM City Hotel has 325 rooms and is connected to SM City Xiamen Mall. SM Prime said the project completes its lifestyle destination concept after opening its first China property 25 years ago. The hotel is located near Xiamen's transport hubs and targets to attract young travelers. The investment comes as China's travel sector is projected to nearly double over the next decade. For Business 360, Jillian Geronimo, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
A two-digit fuel price hike may hit motorists next week. Diesel is projected to soar by around 9 to 10 pesos per liter and gasoline by 4 to 5 pesos. This is based on the first 3 trading days of the means of Platts Singapore amid renewed tension in the Middle East. Oil companies are expected to announce their official pump price adjustments on Monday. The Marcos administration is expanding the government's uplift program amid high fuel prices, rolling out new cash assistance that will reach roughly 37.5 million Filipinos. Marcos said a one-time additional cash assistance of up to 2,000 pesos will go to around 3.5 million Filipinos enrolled in the 4PS program.
Patuloy natin nararamdaman ang epekto ng tensyon sa gitnang silangan na nagdudulot ng banta sa pandaigdigang supply ng langis. Nakakaapekto ito sa ating ekonomiya at presyo ng mga bilihin. Kapag tumataas ang gastusin, mas bumibigat ang pasanin ng bawat pamilyang nagsisikap tugunan ang kanilang pangangailangan, lalo na ang mga Pilipinong nasa laylayan ng lipunan.
The government is also expanding coverage to 2.5 million poor and near-poor households that were previously outside existing social protection programs. Another 1.5 million low-income workers and their families will receive 2,000 pesos every month from July through December. The United States military wraps up its latest wave of strikes against Iran. U.S. Central Command says its forces hit Iranian air defense systems, coastal radar sites, and missile and drone capabilities, among others. The goal is to weaken Iran's ability to threaten the international shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, but Iran insists the strait will only reopen if Washington honors the 14-point memorandum signed in June. This includes terms on governing shipping through the vital waterway. We'll be right back. When we return, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. seeks investments in artificial intelligence during his working visit to Singapore. You're watching Business 360. Welcome back to Business 360. I'm Apa Ongpin. President Bongbong Marcos Jr. is in Singapore for a 3-day working visit with talks focused on attracting investments, particularly in artificial intelligence, digital infrastructure, and healthcare. Ivy Reyes has the details.
President Bongbong Marcos is now on the 3rd day of his working visit to Singapore, and the pledges from his business meetings and bilateral engagement with Singaporean Prime Minister Lawrence Wong have yet to be totaled. But according to the Presidential Communications Office, trade and artificial intelligence are central to their discussions.
Matagumpay at produktibo ang working visit ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. sa Singapore. Baon ng Pangulo sa pagbalik na, mamayang gabi ang iba't ibang investment sa larangan ng kalusugan at digital infrastructure sa Pilipinas.
High-impact investments in the Philippine healthcare system were reaffirmed in PBBM's meeting with the Ayala Group, ABC Impact, and Temasek Trust Ecosystem. ABC Impact, together with investment company Temasek, has renewed their commitment to Ayala's AC Health, which aims to put up more hospitals, about 300 clinics, and generate jobs in 2027. Marcos also met with corporations Singtel and Globe to discuss further investments in digital infrastructure and artificial intelligence. Singtel has new data centers in the Philippines and vowed to keep investing in the country. This afternoon, the president will lead think tank Milcan Institute's roundtable meetings and will return to the Philippines tomorrow, July 17. For B360, Ivy Reyes, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The Bureau of Customs said a joint administrative order to address port congestion and cargo handling issues may be signed by August. The order is expected to be signed by the Departments of Finance, Trade, and Transportation as well. It will give the BOC more authority to coordinate solutions between agencies for port delays. Customs Commissioner Ariel Nepomuceno said the move aims to prevent congestion ahead of the expected rise in shipments late in the year. The BOC is also developing a new customs processing system to reduce human intervention and improve operations. Consumer and advocacy groups take their grievances over high power bills to the streets, protesting outside a Meralco business center in Quezon City. They're calling for relief and greater transparency over charges passed on to consumers. Ches Sulit reports.
Consumers should not be carrying the burden of higher electricity costs.
That's what advocacy groups are calling for as they staged a protest in front of a Meralco Business Center in Quezon City. Akbayan, sentro naman nagkakaisa at progresibong manggagawa, together with Meralco consumers, are renewing their calls for urgent action over high electricity bills. The groups are pushing to extend the suspension of electricity service disconnections as Filipino households struggle with settling their balances. They are also amplifying the need to investigate Meralco's electricity charges, urging transparency on the alleged unexplained costs on consumers.
Yung kuryente po ay isa sa mga main necessity po ng mga ordinaryong pamilyang Pilipino at nagbabayad po tayo ng napakalaki at hindi po dapat muli yung mga manggagawa natin yung pumapasa nito.
This was a second rally held this week. Power for People Coalition, a network of groups advocating clean and affordable energy, also held a protest on Tuesday, calling on regulators to act on soaring electricity costs. P4P Coalition lead convener Jerry Arances has said the country's heavy dependence on coal and natural gas exposes households to volatile international prices. Because fuel and generation costs are treated as pass-through charges, consumers ultimately shoulder the increases.
The pass-through needs to be addressed. Okay? Yung reliance sa fossil fuel na pinapasa lang sa atin, decision ng mga korporasyon that puts in peril yung economic na kalagayan ng ating mga kababayan needs to really be addressed. Yun yung pinakasusi dito.
Aranzas also revives questions over possible market manipulation in the power industry. In June 2021, during the tenure of then Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi, the Energy Department investigated forced and unplanned power plant outages that triggered rotational brownouts across Metro Manila and other parts of Luzon. The DOE also explored possible economic sabotage charges, while citing inadequate power reserves and alleged non-compliance with ancillary service requirements.
Ang the last administration ni Cusi are saying or alluding to na merong economic sabotage issue dito. So those investigations need to be submitted and need to be transparent. Ano ba ang resulta ng lahat ng investigasyon na to? So kaya natin nire-reiterate na dapat itaas yung penalty ng mga unplanned shutdowns na yan.
In a radio interview, ERC Chair Francis Saturnino Juan said the agency expected many consumers to complain about high electricity bills over the past months. He explained that the increase may have been driven by higher demand amid tight power supply. Juan added that the ERC continues to monitor electricity rates and the pass-through costs charged by distribution utilities to consumers, also stressing that more than 140 DUs nationwide, not just Meralco, are affected by the higher charges. Akbayan, Centro, and concerned Meralco consumers are also calling for stronger safeguards against excessive electricity charges amid the national energy emergency. The groups also hope the congressional inquiries will shed light on accountability and fairness for consumers. For Business 360, Che Sulit, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
The Philippine Stock Exchange Index inches higher up today, closing above the 6,300 resistance level. Most indices closed in the green, with mining and oil jumping nearly 3%. Today's biggest winners include Ayala and Ayala Land, as well as Pure Gold and BDO. South Korea's Kospi plummets back to the 6,000 level. It fell sharply by more than 6% today, dragged down by semiconductor stocks. SK Hynix lost as much as 12% today, and Samsung nearly 8%. The Kospi had to activate a sell-side trading curve again. Japan's Nikkei 225 also plummeted more than 2.5%, also on the back of weak semiconductor stocks, while China's Shanghai Composite shed nearly 2%. Wall Street investors, meanwhile, are in the mood to buy. Softer than expected inflation and a robust start to the earnings season helped drive up the three major indexes. The S&P 500, Nasdaq, and Dow all closed modestly higher despite weakness in semiconductor stocks. Tennis superstar Alex Ayala gets a grand welcome from two of the country's top business leaders And the Makati Business Club is now under the leadership of Julia Abad as a new force for reform. Stay with us on Business 360. Welcome back to Business 360. I'm Apa Ongpin. Tennis ace Alex Ayala gets a grand welcome home from two of the Philippines' most influential business leaders. After her historic Wimbledon run, Ayala comes home to a major show of support from BPI Chairman Jaime Sobel de Ayala and Summit Holdings President and CEO Lance Gokongwei. The high-profile homecoming was hosted by BPI, putting the spotlight on Ayala's amazing rise on the global stage. Sobel and Gokongwei personally congratulated the Filipino tennis star and reaffirmed their support for her continued pursuit of excellence. Joining them was BPI President and CEO TG Limcauco, who congratulated Ayala on behalf of the company, saying they are very proud of how she handles every match with grit, grace, and guts. Alex Ayala also received a hero's welcome from Filipino fans after her historic Wimbledon win. Sheila Salaysay has that story.
Fresh off her historic run at the 2026 Wimbledon Championships, Alex Ayala traded center court for a sea of smiling Filipino fans, using her homecoming to give back to the people who never stopped believing in her. The 21-year-old became the first Filipina in the Open era to reach the fourth round of a Grand Slam, a milestone that captivated the nation and sparked renewed interest in Philippine tennis. Rather than taking a well-earned break, Ayala spent her brief stay in the country, reconnecting with the fans who stayed up through the night to watch her matches, celebrated every victory, and stood by her throughout her remarkable journey. Hundreds of supporters packed all three levels of the Glorieta Activity Center in Makati for a chance to meet the WTA World number 28. Ayala signed autographs, posed for photos, played games with selected fans, and shared stories from her breakthrough Wimbledon campaign, turning the event into a heartfelt tribute to the Filipinos who have cheered her on every step of the way. The fan celebration capped 3 days of homecoming activities, following a meet and greet with young tennis hopefuls at Nike's Play Mind Games event and a media conference with BPI, where she reflected on her Wimbledon success and expressed her desire to represent the Philippines at the 2026 Asian Games. For many fans, seeing Ayala in person was an emotional moment after witnessing her make history on one of tennis's biggest stages.
Started nung game niya last year kay Maya Joint, Eastbourne yata yun, yung umiyak siya eh. Kasi ang ganda ng laban na yun eh. I think umabot, pinakita niya yung passion niya talaga sa laro eh. At saka she represented our country talaga eh. Kung malapit lang yung sa Wimbledon venue, pupuntahan ko yan eh. Ganun siya kamahal ng mga masa ang Pilipino. Sincere yung kanyang passion at saka sincere siya dun sa gaano niya kamahal yung mga Pilipino.
For Ayala, confidence comes not only from years of hard work, but also from the unwavering support of her family, coaches, and the millions of Filipinos who continue to believe in her. At Wimbledon, she carried more than a tennis racket. She carried the hopes, resilience, and fighting spirit of an entire nation. Her historic run has inspired more Filipinos to embrace tennis and once again showed how sports can unite a country behind one extraordinary athlete. Among those who came to Glorieta were supporters carrying special mementos, hoping to have them signed by the tennis star they followed for years.
She's young, she doesn't quit, she has the grit, and she has the motivation to do the hard thing every single day. It's from my grandma, actually. 50 years ago, she handed over it to me so that Alex may sign this later on if it will be possible. The whole Filipino nation is supporting you. Win or lose, it's a progress. Do not quit, do not stop.
As she returns to the international circuit for the WTA Mubadala DC Open in Washington, D.C., Ayala leaves the Philippines with more than just well wishes. She returns to the tour knowing that every serve, every point, and every match is backed by the unwavering support of an entire nation, eager to see her make history once again. Sheila Salaysay, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
In the Philippine Basketball Association, Meralco came within a point of stealing its Governor's Cup opener, but the Bolts were left disappointed after a heartbreaking loss to Phoenix. Head coach Luigi Trillo didn't hide his frustration, questioning several late officiating decisions that he believes cost his team the win. Zeus Valdez of Abante has the full story.
Meralco head coach Luigi Trillo believes the Bolts did enough to win, but says crucial non-calls in the final minute changed the outcome of their 98-97 defeat to Phoenix. The Bolts rallied from a 15-point deficit and took a 97-94 lead with just over a minute left before Phoenix closed the game with 4 straight free throws capped by Ken Toffin's game-winning pair. After the final buzzer, star guard Chris Newsom was seen speaking with the officiating crew before approaching PBA Commissioner Willie Marshall to seek clarification on several no calls during the closing possessions.
I think both teams played well. Congrats to Phoenix. It came down to possessions, but I don't know, those last few possessions, they didn't call fouls. Our main guy, our star player Newsom, gets hacked 3 times and there's no call. Those calls need to be made because those are decisions where you dictate the game.
Trillo said he understood the emotion of his players and coaching staff, adding that even Commissioner Marshall acknowledged one of the missed contacts during their post-game discussion. The Meralco mentor stressed that his issue was not with the result itself, but with the need for consistent officiating in crunch time.
They got to the free throw line 3 times in those last few possessions, and we did not. But again, we have a new guy trying to call the stripes. I think you have to come down to consistency.
Trillo also said he would not have changed his team's late-game execution, insisting the Bolts were attacking the basket the right way and simply did not receive the same whistle.
No adjustment. It's clear. If our guy gets to the basket and if not gets hit here, that's a foul. You're just looking for consistency for both.
Despite the controversy, Trillo gave credit to Phoenix for staying composed down the stretch and capitalizing on its opportunities to escape with the victory. The 1-point defeat dropped Meralco to 0-1 in the Governor's Cup despite a gaudy comeback effort without an import, while Phoenix improved to 2-0 to stay unbeaten early in the conference. Zeus Valdez, Abante.
Spain and Argentina are set for a blockbuster showdown in the FIFA World Cup final. Both teams have survived their semi-final tests. Spain beat France 2-0 to extend its unbeaten run to 37 matches, while Argentina rallied past England 2-1. On BNC's The Scorecard, veteran football coach Aris Kaslib said Spain may be the best team in 2026 to beat the defending champions. A trans-Filipina model makes history as she walks the runway of the hit fashion reality show Project Runway. Our U.S. correspondent Don Tagala has the story.
And I'm really happy that I'm inspiring a lot of people.
In season 21, VJ Floresca made history as the first transgender Filipina to win the fashion reality series Project Runway. This season, another Filipina made history as Rain Batingana became the first transgender model to walk the famous runway of the hit reality series.
It shows that the industry has changed and has welcomed different types of people, different colors, race, gender identity, and that's what something we need at this time and age.
Batingana has always dreamed of walking this world-renowned runway, wearing the works of soon-to-be winning designers. That's why when she moved to the US in 2014, the Davao native set her sights on conquering the fashion capital of the world via New York Fashion Week. In 2017, walking for designer Richie Rich's Spring-Summer collection marked her first big step into making her big dream a reality. She felt at home in the city where Pride March and Pride Month were originated.
Going to castings, I don't even have to disclose what my gender is. I just have to show up, show my true self, and it's up to them if they would like my look. If it fits, then you're gonna get the job.
Her big break finally came when she got invited to a Project Runway go-see via Instagram.
When I got to the location for the casting in Hoboken, New Jersey, oh my God, there were like 300 plus models, and I remember my number. I was model number 188. A week later, I got an email that they would want to have me for the show, and it's for Project Runway Season 22. And I was screaming from the top of my lungs that I was able to book it.
She credits Project Runway winner VJ Floresca for paving the way for her. Meanwhile, her Project Runway gig took another surprise turn when she was paired with a designer she had already worked with.
I was shocked. We were both screaming. We were jumping for joy because we knew each other.
Rain finally told BNC what the judges were fussing about as she walked Yang Yang's design.
It was actually bats, yes.
In this season, Rain is not the only Pinay in Project Runway. Competing among the designers is Phil-Am Miss Universe 2022 Arbony Gabrielle. But the judges were not all that impressed with her first runway offering. She was among the judges' 4 least favorite designs, and only one of them will be saved come episode 2.
That denim design that I love so much got me in the bottom. Judges were not impressed. Not gonna lie, I was doubting the decision I made.
Rain says she will continue to root for her queen.
I was really happy for her Project Runway stint, and I'm rooting for her, and I really want the best for her because she's got it.
Do you think I'm moving on to the next round? Well, I'll find out next week what the outcome is. Thank y'all for the love. Thank you for the support. It's been so fun, and the journey continues.
Don Tagala, Bilyonaryo News Channel, New York.
A Filipino high school glee club has brought home top honors from an international choral competition in Prague. Our Europe correspondent Dick Villanueva has this story.
Has received 26.6 points, and that is a gold medal.
Miriam College High School Glee Club won 2 gold awards and a special prize at the recent Musica Orbis Prague Festival 2026. Musica Orbis Prague Festival 2026 was held July 9 to 13. It invites the best choirs and orchestra to Prague for the International Choral Festival competition. The MCHS Glee Club is composed of students in grade 8 and 12 and some alumni. There are 37 members formed this year under the leadership of Mrs. Nancy Roman, conductor of choirs. According to Nancy, this is not their first International Choral Festival competition. It seems they started competing in 2010 and stopped during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020.
No, it's not the first time we joined an international competition. Actually, we started joining way back in 2010. And then the next one was in 2012. Almost every 2 years, we join an international competition, but that stopped during the pandemic in 2020.
She was proud of the outcome of the competition because the students were doing academic work at the same time.
I am very proud of them, obviously, considering that we only started training seriously this May because we cannot really train too much during the school year because they're busy with their academic workload. So I'm really proud of their progress, and I think na-stretch ko naman yung kakayanan nila. So magandang exposure po ito para sa kanilang lahat.
They competed against Estonia, Germany, Belgium, the United Kingdom, and Lithuania. It was not just the spectators. Even the judges were impressed by the blending of voices despite the different age range, with the youngest at 13 years old.
Well, the judges commended us. They said that ang ganda daw ng blending ng mga bata, to think na iba-ibang age range kasi nga may batang-bata as young as 13, tama ba? 13 and all the way to 18. May ilan-ilan akong alumna na sumali, 5 sila. So, medyo malaki yung age range. So, yung judges commended us for that because napatunog namin sila ng parang walang difference ang age nila.
They won 2 gold awards with a rating of 26.6 out of 30 in the Sacred Music category B6 and 27.7 out of 30 in the Youth Choirs Unrestricted Repertoire category A6. They were also given a special prize for excellence in choral sound. Dick Villanueva, Bilyonaryo News Channel, Prague, Czech Republic.
Before we go, Julia Abad is now at the head of the Makati Business Club as Executive Director. MBC says Abad's experience in public policy, governance, and strategic leadership will help strengthen the organization's role in advancing business-led reforms. Abad herself called it an exciting opportunity to join the MBC as it marks 45 years of championing principled business leadership and meaningful reform. She succeeds me as Executive Director of the MBC. And that's Business 360. We'll keep tracking the moves that matter across markets, policy, and the economy. I'm Apa Ongpin. Thank you for joining us. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.